Howdy. So right now I'm working on a longer video that's a little more involved. I have to do a lot of scripting, I have to do a lot of editing, a lot of filming. So I figured I would take a break and do some scripting, some editing, and some filming to take my mind off of things. Now what I wanted to talk about today was aesthetic. Now, if you don't know what that is, think back to your childhood and think about what vibe did that time give off. Like the 80s, they had the neon lights, they had the colorful patterns, they had drugs, you know, just like all the fun stuff. Then you had the 90s, which had different drugs, which gave that era a whole different vibe. Not as colorful, still cool, but 80s was a little different. Then you get to the early 2000s, where the drugs were pretty much the same, they were just used differently. Why am I using a drug analogy, dude? Then you have the 2000s, where everything was kind of a glossy, futuristic look. There's actually a term for that, and let me look it up.
Fruitager
era. Fruitager era is that glossy, futuristic look. I'll put some images on the screen, you'll see what I'm talking about. Now think of the 2010s. What aesthetic did that have? Now if you're something like me, that's a little harder to pin down. Now, most of my childhood was in the 2010s, and I still have a hard time thinking of what that's supposed to look like. For some reason, the only thing that comes to mind is like Bape, Supreme, skinny jeans. But really what I think encapsulates the 2010s is the death of cultural aesthetic. Now, I haven't found this term online. This is something that I've just made up, but I'll kind of define cultural aesthetic to you now. Cultural aesthetic is essentially like looking at the 80s, seeing neon lights, looking at the 90s and seeing grunge, looking at the 2000s and seeing fruitager era. That's basically what I'm talking about. I'm sure there's already a term for it. That's essentially what I mean when I say cultural aesthetic. Now, what I mean when I say that the 2010s was the death of that was the fact that we started getting too sleek. The interior of buildings started getting more and more white, more and more modern. There's pops of color here and there, but really it just looks like an insane asylum. The 2010s was the death of the play place, was the death of Ronald McDonald sitting on that bench. You know, there's this Burger King down the road from where I live that is getting remodeled, and it had a play place. And it no longer has a play place. And that means that there's only one other place in town that has one, and that's a Chick-fil-A. Gone are the days where my grandpa would take me to Burger King and I would get in that musty play place where a kid was playing with pee one time, his or someone else's, I don't know, and I would peek through that bubble, look at my grandparents and say, nothing. I wouldn't say anything really. But you know what I mean? There's no aesthetic now. You go to fast food places and there's nothing. You sit down and you eat, there's nothing cool. I mean, they used to have Nintendo 64s plugged into TVs. You could play games on it. You got games on your phone? They had games at the Wendy's. Essentially, the condensed point is that we need to bring back cultural aesthetic. We don't necessarily need to feed on the past ones. We don't need to start putting up neon lights. We don't need to start having that glossy, futuristic look. We don't need to go back to grunge. We just need to come up with something new. We need to allow ourselves to express in a more general way. Part of what I think caused this is a more concentrated look at individual expression. That's kind of where we're at in the culture. We're more individually expressive rather than the whole place having a certain expression. I think more people are putting on the most fly fits ever in history. More people are doing that. More people are willing to try new things to express themselves. More people are willing to experiment. So why aren't we doing that with other things other than ourselves? I say we all start making petitions to tell builders, architects, whoever, I'm tired of walking into a McDonald's and them trying to look like a Michelin star restaurant. I hear this sound, yet I'm sitting here. That makes no sense to me. Do you guys remember when Taco Bell had the swivel chairs? Because I remember that. And look, maybe it's nostalgia, but I think that overall, things just felt better. And yeah, we're getting older, and yeah, the things that are happening right now in the world are scary, but maybe we can all come together in an old Taco Bell and just commune. There's also a big emphasis on finding third places within the internet talks right now. I think part of the reason we don't have them is because there's no cool place to have a third place. No one wants to go to a fast food place that's too brightly lit, trying to be something it's not. No one wants to go to a mall where half the stores are shutting down. I'm harping on fast food, but I think it really tells. We used to have Dollar McChickens, man. Dollar McDoubles. I used to be able to go for $5 out of McDonald's and feed myself for a week. 24-hour Walmarts, what happened, man? Oh yeah, COVID happened. But did COVID kill the cultural aesthetic? No, I don't know who did, but we need to bring it back. So just leave a comment and a like if you agree with me. Let me know what you think. Let me know any ideas you have for a cultural aesthetic. Anything would be super helpful. Me personally, I think I'm just gonna start building my own buildings and making them look cool. I'll get a license and I'll start the work. Okay, you guys just spread the movement. All right. Thank you guys for watching. If you made it to this far in the video, you're absolutely nasty. What are you doing with your life? Thank you very much. Love you. Bye.